Okay, good morning, friends. So we are going to begin with the second session of this workshop, and this is basically on introduction to R and its basic components to programming purposes. So yesterday you have discussed various basic needs and importance of R programming or R software with Salab sir, and I hope you have get the idea of why this workshop is going to be organized on R software. I will go briefly about what is the current demand of this software and what are the basic key advantage of this to learn this software. Developed by Ross Yahaka and Robert Gentleman at Auckland University in 1995, and since they, because they developed this software while reducing S plus language in their classrooms, and they developed this R software. So they developed a team that is called R Development Core Team, and it consists of John Chambers, which is one of the developer of S plus and in the core team of C languages, and some statisticians, computer programmers, and social scientists. And they launched the comprehensive RRP network that you know as CRAN, from which actually this is the platform which consists up-to-date softwares, packages, and development of our softwares. So you know that this is R also provides a programming environment, means you can either use a built-in function or you can develop your own program for your purpose. So basically, in one word, you can say this is a command-based software. Okay, so it's a lots of advantage. It's open source because you can use it in your universities, colleges free of cost, and the researchers are also welcome. This is one of the advantage, and this a main reason of the development of the growth of this software, because it's also open for contribution its development. So means day by day you can see the number of packages are coming day by day. See, I can share one of the example. Let's see, in 2016 we have proposed a distribution that is a new model, and it is come up. It is published on June 2016. But I was searching something related to the distributions over Google, and I found out that our probability distributions are now built in this R software. I was very surprised that time, but I see this is the one of the advantage of this software, because it's also open for contributions in its development. So that's why you can see the researchers, computer science people, statistician, mathematician, and other applied scientists are working, not only working, but also working on its development. They are developing their packages. Now you can see, if you count it, I think it has more than 12,000 packages that consist, means every branch of mathematics, statistics, and other applied areas, including engineering. So once you think it, okay, I want to do this kind of analysis, if you search, definitely that is there. So it provides you a programming environment, very flexible environment to interact with other softwares too, like C, C++, Python, Winberg, Fortran, and also compatible with the Excel sheets like CSV, text, XML, Stata, SAS, and SPSS. Other kind of software can be merged in. Even recently, I see the R can be merged with the LaTeX. Now briefly, what is the current status and demand of R? So you can see there are a number of online platform where you can find the, people are discussing about the R and its related issues and problems solving. So I can see this rstatistics.com, rbloggers.com, and r4stats.com. There are very popular websites where you can find material and discussion about the R software and its development. So I was still looking at why this R is going to be very popular. What are the basic reasons in it? So I have some certain surveys. I found certain surveys on r4statistics.com that I would like to share with you very briefly. So here the graph shows that the more popular data science softwares, okay, it is around, it's a 1916 survey. So you can say this R has a maximum number, followed by C, C++, and second one is SAS. SAS is one of the commercial statistical software, and it is very costly too, but it is far more demanding than SAS. And it is here SPSS, MATLAB, and very popular Stata, Minitab, and you can see they're very less. So here you can see the demand of this R software. Other one is just if we see the comparison between the R and SAS. R, you know, that is a free software, and SAS is very no, very costly. You can see the percentage of matching jobs postings on Indeedjob.com. So earlier, this blue one is for R and orange is for SAS. But you can see there is a dramatic change in the demand of jobs of this R and SAS near about 2016-17. You can see that clearly the change in demand of the R software. So R is demands of R software is increasing in the industry. Okay, so other one is because once the software is launched, so R is just launched 20 years back in 2012 to the worldwide. So in just 20 years of span, so earlier it was just particularly in university and country in 1995. So here you see the Google Scholar hits and the citations of R. So this is the topmost is your SPSS, so most cited software means by the researchers on Google Scholar. And here second one is your SAS software. And you can see this, what is this triangle is orange color triangle is represents the R software. So this R is continuously increasing. This is a very interesting, R is continuously increasing, and then in 2015 you can see R and that SAS Google hits are almost same, and both SAS and SPSS Google hits are decreasing by year. Okay, so that is, you can see the demand of this software is increasing. Other one is a percentage of jobs posting in data science statisticians. So the industry has come up with a new terminology, that is data scientist. So in recently you can see in the various advertisement on the various websites. 2014, you can see the increasing in data scientist. Earlier data scientist was not that popular, but now in see around 2017 and 18 it is very high. Every company wants a data scientist. They are not referring this to, otherwise it is actually statistician. So why this happens, why this term is actually replaced by the data scientist? What is data scientist is? So why this industry is coming up with the new, this, otherwise the statisticians are fine to work with this. Every kind of data can be handled with the statisticians. Okay. So the I had an opportunity to be in the team of this TCS new idea of data, MSc in Big Data Analytics. So in 2016, when I was in Suraj, Central Rajasthan, so the TCS in 2016 started the MSc in Big Data Analytics in the with the collaborations of ISI, and it was started in 4 institutions or maybe in the 5 institutions. Value Bangalore, St. Xavier Ahmedabad, St. Joseph Bangalore, and Central Institute of Rajasthan. Development has happened in computer science, or you can handle the large data sets very easily. Okay, so then you can see other programs are coming in this. IIT Guwahati has started MTech in data science. IIT Mandi recently started BTech in data science. And this recently, during the pandemic, the IIT Madras has launched an online BSc degree in programming and data science. So you can understand this, and every program, this kind of program includes R programming as one of the core paper in their disciplines. So means industry wants that people to have a knowledge of programming with the fundamentals of statistics. So let us start. How do you install this R programming? So I have already sent you the link of website, that is R project or tran.r.project.org, where you can easily download the software like you do for other softwares too. Okay, so here this the website looks like. Here you can see the image. So this is here you can download the R for Linux, Windows, Mac. Okay, so this takes hardly 2 to 5 minutes to install in your system. So once you install the system, you can see the R logo, which is there on your desktop, and you can also search in the program files. So once you open the R, that it prompts with the masses that includes here. You can see the behind the masses that includes the versions, names, and other information about our softwares. So it basically has 4 windows. So I'm talking about just a basic R. There is also other version of R that is called R Studio. So that will be discussed by my friend Dr. Abhimanyu Singh Yadav. Okay, so here I just work on this basic R that has basically four windows. One is console, other one is R editor. If you run a code for plot, so a new window comes, that is simple graphics device. And the most important is data editor. Like you might be aware about the spreadsheets available in Excel, SPSS, SAS, and other files. So spreadsheets also there in in R softwares, that is called R editor. So this is another advantage of this software is this R console, that window is actually a functionally calculator. So this R console can be used as a calculator. So once you run the code in R console directly, it will be executed and you can get your output. Otherwise, alternative way to work in R is you work on this R editor and you can save your code for future use. Okay, so this is R console, R editor, graphic device, and this R editor. Okay. So R editor, I will discuss later what are the uses of this R editor. This is designed for a specific purpose of, transformation of data and modifications in the data or corrections. So once you have installed the R, you see the windows like this. So first task is to change your directory. So directory means you want to save the things in a particular folder or a space. So once you have file and go to the change directory, so you can choose any folder. The dialog box is there. So by default, it is documents. So once your files will be automatically saved in documents. Otherwise, you can change it. Okay, suppose you want to work in a particular folder, so your file could be saved in a particular folder in which you are working in. So that can be saved. So you can change this directory. There are various other options you can discuss in detail, but which are important I'm discussing here. Okay, so this change directory can be easily done. So your software. So other one is how to install packages. So there are two ways mainly. Either you can download the zip file from the websites of CRAN. That is every package available in zip file over that platform. And you can go there in the menu there, this packages. So the last one you can see set CRAN mirror and all these things. You can set the mirror for which you want to use for downloading your software. Otherwise, you can click install packages from local files. So if you click it, dialog box will open. You can choose your zip file of the package and that will be done. But there is a problem in this. If you do manually, there are lots of packages which actually depends on some other package. So dependency is there. So you need to load also the dependent packages. But if you have internet connection in your system, that task becomes very easy. And you can use install.packages code and your package, this library name. So I have a code that install.packages and this quote unquote that is read Excel. So this is my library name, package name, read Excel. So if you use this code for any package, it will automatically install all the package and their dependencies. Okay, so once you install the required package, then next is how to get help from this R software. So very wonderful R help commands are there. So suppose you are not aware about a particular code, but you want to search it. Either you can do a Google, otherwise you can also search in R. So there are there are three ways to do it. One is there are, you can say above you can see in a window there is a help. Okay, help window is there. So if you click help, there is a HTML file. You can see the list of all packages installed in your system and even including the base packages. You can click it. You can see what they are within their packages. Every help you can get in a HTML file. Okay, so this is, you here can go help. There are lots of even material are there in there. This help menu. If you click this help, you can find a PDF which includes all the relevant information about the software. So second one is help and then code name, or alternative is question mark and then code name. If your code name is correct, it exists in your R system and you use followed by the question mark, you run it, you will go directly to that command page, particular to that command page that includes all relevant information of the code. And suppose you are not sure about what is a code actually for this purpose. Suppose I want to know that, okay, I want to calculate variance, but I don't know what is the exactly code of the variance of the data. Okay, so you can simply type it as simply double question mark, or you can say help dot search and then your code name. Otherwise, alternative is double question mark and suppose variance, I type it. And if you enter this code, it will give the list of packages where this variance terms is used. Okay, then you can choose your particular code. Say suppose there are a number of codes available in our system where variance terms is used as one of the term. Okay, so it will open the list of codes where variance is used. So you can choose your correct one. So there are three ways to search for a help in our system. Next, now come to the programming. So we know that one of the feature is to your program your own codes for your purpose in R is available. So there are basically 5-6 components of any programming language. One is first one is simply input output. Next is defining objects. Next is operators. Then control structures, defining functions, and graphics. So first of all, we will discuss here. First three we will discuss here, and then control structures and functions we will discuss later. So let us first define the objects. So you know that this R is object-oriented programming. So everything is concerned about the objects, and in R everything is an object. Whatever you see the name, that is object. Vectors, data frame, matrix, any functions, everything is an object. So there are rules of defining the object's names. There are three basic rules. One, the object names in R are case sensitive. So one of the important point to remember in R programming is, otherwise you make mistakes and you will not be able to find your mistakes. The R is a case sensitive language. So means what? Small letters and capital letters are different. Okay, suppose you wrongly type a capital X somewhere else, and actually the value is stored in small x, you will every time you find an error, and sometimes we are not able to visualize what is error is, because you read every time x every time. So remember that R is a case sensitive language. First. Second point is the name should not be begin with the numbers. So if you define an object and you try to give the name of that object, then it should not be begin with the numbers. It should be begin with the alphabets. Okay, whether it's small or capital. Third one, the object name should not contain the blank spaces. Okay, so I have given here some examples. Say suppose I define x equal to, I will discuss this what is x equal to, and some of you may be aware about this. X equal to 1 to 10. So I assign values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 up to 10 to x. Suppose I want to define, I compute mean of x, and I define like this, x space bar. It will give you error because space is not allowed. Second one is x dot bar. It is correct. X bar. It is correct. X underscore bar. It is correct. Now I write 2017 x bar. Now it is incorrect because I used the number to define the name of the object. Otherwise, you can use like this, x bar 2017. It is correct. So there are three basic rules. One is it is case sensitive. To be remember this point. It should not begin with the numbers, and it should not contain the blank spaces. Okay. So if you have these three things in mind, so hope you will not get these kinds of errors in your program. Second is, so as you know that this R console is your functionally calculator, and you can directly do the arithmetic operations on your console. So once I install R in my system, so I never use the calculators. I use a console to do my some arithmetics. Okay, so like other programming languages also define very simple, like, so here is operators are plus, minus, star for your multiplications, backslash is for a division, cap is for power, exponentiation. Alternative ways to do this is double star. So suppose examples are there in the table. So suppose if write 2 star 3 means this is 2 to the power 3, or you can also write 2 power 3 is same. Other is double percentage. It is simply for modulus. It gives you a remainder. Okay. Other one is, or you can also see it gives you a quotient. Double percentage gives you a quotient, so it's a modulo. So 2, 3%, 2 is simply answer is 2 and the 2. It's simply 1. Okay. Other one is percentage slash percentage. That is called integer division. Percentage slash percentage. So this is an operator for integer division. What it gives you? It gives you a quotient. Okay. It's also called integer division. So if you divide 7 by 3, what is time? So you can divide 2 times. So 3 to 6, remainder is 1, but its output is 2. So it gives you an integer division. Other one is assignment operator. Suppose you want to assign a value to a certain object. So you can use either equal sign or less than minus sign. Both are same. Okay. So I usually recommend use the equal sign. Sometimes suppose some space is there, there may be some error. So I usually use a simple equal to for assignment operator. An important one is the comment line operator, that is hash. Okay, so line followed by this hash will not be executed by the R compiler. Okay, so you can use this hash operator to include the comments about your program. Okay, so this is what about arithmetic operators. Okay. Next is logical and relational operators. So suppose you want to establish the relationship between the two variables. So important is the output of logical and relation operators are always either true or false. They are logical. Answer is true or false. So keep in mind that output is true and false. So depending on that, you can then further logical operations in programming. So again, this is less than equals to, greater than equals to, equal. This is equal, double equal is for relational operator. If you write x equal to y, means you are testing that whether x is equal to y or not. So suppose examples is given here. My x is 5, y is 10, and I use x equal to y. Of course, it is false because x is 5, y is 10. So output is false. So similarly, you can see here some examples of this relation operator. And then important one is logical operators. So this logical operators means not, or, and and operators. So they are well defined by the and vertical bar. Okay. So now this is important how this logical and a not operator works. So basically, suppose you want to check the two statements. Okay. And this AND operator, so we will also discuss in R in details. This basically the logical AND basically dominates with the false statement. If both false, answer is false. One false, answer is false. If both true, AND will give you a true. On the other hand, the logical OR is dominated by the true. So if both true, it gives you true. Any one of the statement is true, it gives you true. If both false, OR will give you a false. That is how it works. And other operators, because see, you can see the role of the brackets is well defined in R software. So you have a square bracket and double square brackets for indexing and extracting the items. So you can say indexing operators and extracting operators that are called single bracket, double square bracket, and $sign. This is for extraction. We will discuss later to extract the data from a vector list or a data frame. And role of the brackets is also defined. So you can see these brackets, that simple braces and the curly braces, are primitive functions. It is built in R and have a different roles. So suppose you by mistake have used some different brackets, okay, so it will give you error. It will not work as per it is defined. So now I have a simple example here, and I want answers from your side. Any one of you can answer. If I run bracket 1 plus 2, okay, so obviously it is a arithmetic operation of addition. 1 plus 2 must be 3, okay. And in other way, I have a curly braces, and I have 1 plus 2 semicolon, 4 plus 3 semicolon, 1 plus 5 semicolon, okay. So this semicolon is separating operator. Means suppose you have you want to write number of the statements in a single line, okay. If you give space, it will give you error. So you can separate the line by a semicolon. If you are using a codes in different lines, there is no need to use this separator, okay. If you want to write in the same line different number of statements, then use this semicolon. So first one here, first example, we have 1 plus 2. It's simple, a single statement, and it is addition. It gives you a 3 answer. Otherwise, we have this braces, and we have a 3 statements. What would be the output? Any one of you can tell me, what is your guess?
The output will be 6.
So
Okay.
6.
And it's 6. Okay. So output will be 6. So if some of the participants are not aware about this, definitely the answer is this 6. So means what? It will returns you the last statement. First 2 statements are ignored. So it has a well-defined role because these braces are used for a function code. So last statement will be written as an output. So means the role of these braces are well defined. So the square brackets for indexing, this simple brackets for your covering the arithmetic operations, and this curly braces for your functions within the functions body. Now next is data types and their classes. So it has the 4 basic data types. One is numeric. It includes the real numbers, integer, complex, and character or strings. Okay, but it is labeled as a character, or sometimes factor, strings, character. Okay, so you broadly can classify the 4 types: numeric, integer, complex, and character. So it has slight they have a different way of input the data into the R system. Numeric can be directly entered. Suppose x1, my variable object, equals to 20. Definitely 20 will be stored in x1. Suppose I want to tell that my x2 is integer, because there are a number of mathematical models or methods which are basically designed for numbers. Okay, where output should be the integers. You cannot say that to 100.5 participants. Okay, it's an integer, so answer must be an integer. So there are a number of methods, techniques developed in mathematics or statistics where you can deal with the integer number. So you need to tell that this R that, okay, this is my integer variable, so that the models which are defined on integer vectors can be applied. So the simple way to define is 10L. So this value 10 will be stored in 20, this x2, but now your R software knows that this is an integer variable. Okay, complex is simply as you write in a notebook, 2 plus I. So it is simple like this, 2 plus 3i. So one is real part, imaginary part is 3, so it automatically understand. Then character. Suppose you want to enter the character, is simply quote unquote. Either you can single or double inverted commas. It's up to you, both will work. Okay, so there are 4 classes: numeric, integer, complex, character. So you can also test whether it is a numeric. Suppose you don't know what is it actually, it is a real or maybe integer. So you test it. So is.numeric, is.integer, is.complex, is.character. So it's a logical operator. So definitely output will be again true and false. Is numeric, output is yes or true or false. Okay, or you can also check the class. Suppose you don't know the class of the object. So code is class object name. It will returns you their class. So suppose if I write x1 equal to 20 and I run class x1, it gives you a numeric. If I run is numeric x1, yes, it is true. It is numeric. Now further, you can also change the class of the your variable into different classes. Okay, suppose you want to numeric to complex, integer to real, integer to complex, okay, or integer to your character. Suppose you have defined 1 and 2 for male and female, but I want to read it as a integer numbers. So you can change the class of the. So the command is as dot numeric, as dot integer, as dot complex. So if I check y1 equal to as dot character x1. So x1 was my 20, and I have changed it as dot character. Now this 20 becomes character. This number 20 does not have any meaning. It's a factor, it's a character, it's a string. Now I check whether it is replaced by its class is replaced or not. So if I see is dot character y1 and it is true, now the y1 becomes a character. So these are the class of objects and data types. Okay, next is how to enter the data or generate the sequence in our system. Okay, there are 5 or 6 commands to enter the data or generate a sequence in R. First one is C, and this is built in, and it is small c, because R is a sensitive language. It is C, built in C. So general syntax of this C is C brackets, and elements of this C vector is separated by comma. So if you write C 2, 4, 6, which includes a variable, includes 4, 2, 4, 6 as elements of this vector. Okay, this is one we usually use to enter the data as C and elements separated by comma. Other 3 codes are A colon B. That here I write 2 colon 6. So this is general syntax is A colon B, or you can also write reverse B colon A. So it generates this sequence of integer with the difference of 1. So means what? 2, if I write 2 colon 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I write 6 colon 2, it will generate the sequence 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So you can also generate a reverse sequence by using this. So general syntax is A colon B. Next is sequence. So earlier one is a simple generate the integer, start from A and set B. But suppose you generate a sequence of number with predefined width. Okay, with the difference between the two numbers. So say suppose I write sequence, that next code is sequence A to B by equal to 0.5. So I want to generate the number, it starts from 2 and with the difference of 0.5 and add at 3. So first one is 2, next one is 2.5, and third one is 3. Okay. On the other hand, suppose I want some numbers of elements between the two numbers. So suppose I want numbers from 2 to 6 of length 2. So it will generate 2 including first and 4 and 6. I think there is a mistake. Okay, it will generate numbers between A to B of length 2. I think there is a typo. We will discuss it in our code. Okay, it will generate only 2 numbers. Other one is repetition, because there are many situations where have observations which are repeated in nature. Okay, so to repeat, because every time you have to type, suppose 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, suppose male, 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 then female, male, female. As a sequence, you may have repetition observations or data in your hand. So you can use the repeat command. Code is repeat A to B, and this is what times? 3 times. Suppose I write your vector 1 to 2 means 1 or 2 should be repeated 3 times. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. On the other hand, you can do like this. Suppose you have a 1 and 2, and each number is repeated 3 times. Okay, so repeat 1 to 2, each equal to 3. So there are 2 versions of repeat code and 2 versions of this sequence code. So repeat 1 to 2, each equal to 3. So 1, 1, 1 3 times, 2, 2, 2 3 times. Okay. Next, very important means usually you have a data in your in a tabular form. Okay. So how to enter the data into tabular form so that later it can be saved in the Excel sheet, or sometimes you have a data in your Excel sheet and you import in your in our environment. Okay. So you need an object to deal such kind of tabular data. So for this purpose, R has a data.frame. That is object, that is data.frame. That is a frame actually, and it is a tabular representation of the data. So the general syntax of this data.frame is the data.frame brackets and elements, means its column are separated by comma. Okay, so suppose here examples is given in this table, data.frame x equal to 1 to 3. So x is my 1, 2, 3 and y equal to C, A, B, C. So one is my numeric, other one is my character vector. Okay, so you can notice here that the output is like this, x and y. So you can see there are additional column is there, 1, 2, 3. Actually, it's a serial of the rows. You can also remove it. There are codes where you can remove this serial number. Okay, so don't worry about this. It is by default is generated by this R environment, and it is not used in R coding or any programs. Okay, it's just a label of rows. So one important point to be remembered in this data frame, the length of the vectors or columns of the data frame should be same. That is one important things to be remembered in data frame. Okay, so columns may be of different types. It may be numeric, it may be integer, it may be a vector, but the length of the column should be same. What will happen if the length of the column is not same? What happens? It will repeat the observation. Say suppose my x has only 2 numbers, y has my 3 numbers. So this 1, 2, next one it will repeat 1, 2 again. So it will recycle the x to match the length of all the columns of this. So sometimes it happens, suppose by mistake you have missed any observation of the column, and you find the column length are same. So you will not able to trace the error. So if you carefully see your data, then actually observation are recycled of that variable of short length. So that is very important point in this. Next is very obvious. If you have two-way representation of data, the most important tool is the matrix. So here the general syntax of the matrix is matrix 1 to 6. Your first element is argument is your number of elements, that means elements of your cells of the matrix, and you define n row means number of columns and number of rows, and rows and columns. Okay, so you can define number of, suppose here it is I have n row 3 and column 3, so I will generate 3 cross 3 matrix having a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now you can see here how this matrix is building, how this code works. There is another trick in this to filling this matrix. So I have a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but my matrix is 3 cross 3. Total element must be 9, but I have only 6. What will happen to the matrix? Again, it will recycle the elements of the first argument. Okay, so let us see how this fills the matrix. So it fills first 1, 2, 3 means first column 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6. So it fills the first 2 columns of the matrix one by one, and then in the third, because there is no observation in the first argument, so it recycle the first argument. Again take 1, 2, 3. So means the matrix is filled by default, matrix is filled row column by column. Okay, column wise. Or if the length of the elements are lesser than the requirement of the matrix, it will be recycled. Otherwise, suppose you want to fill this matrix row wise. Suppose I want to fill like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and again like this row wise. There is another additional code in that, comma by row equals to true. If you write like this, by row equals to true, so the matrix will be filled row wise. We will practice in our session. Okay. And another important point is this first argument, that is elements of this matrix should be of same type. That is important point in this. So matrix elements should be of same type. If observations are of total length, it will be recycled. By default, it fills column wise. If you want to refill row wise, you need to use by row equals to true. Okay, this is the code. Next important one is list. So you know the problems with the data frame and matrix. So one needs same length, other one needs the same type of elements. But suppose you have a different types of informations. Some may be in vector, numeric, integer, and other factors, etc. I want to club it in a single object. Okay, suppose I have information about the students. Suppose serial numbers, then their class roll numbers, then their names, their subjects, their marks, their percentage in overall previous semesters, and so on. I want to club it into a single object. So next object is list. Okay. So this is list. Again, the syntax is same, list, and elements are separated by comma. So X is 1 to 5, or and Y equals to 1 to 5. So this is simple list. You can see in the list, the entries are shown in output is with the dollar sign. Okay. So you can check. I have already discussed this dollar sign is a indexing operator, or means extracting operator. And here, suppose in data frame and list, if I do not use X equal to something, Y equal to something, I just enter 1, 2, 3 and ABC without assigning the values to any variable name or any object X or Y. So it by default take the, if you names, it will give the column names as X, Y, and list entries is X and Y. If the labels are given to the list elements of the data frame and list, it can be extracted by a dollar sign, and it also will be visible by the names $X, and in your data frame it is XY. If I do not give the names to the entries or elements of the list and data frames, it will consider square bracket 1, 2, 3, and so on. Okay, we will see the next slide how to extract. Next is, suppose we have defined vector, data frame, matrix, list. Then the next task is to how to extract some part of that object from the vector, data frame, matrix, and list. Simple, well-defined rules are there. For a vector, it's simply, suppose my vector is X having certain values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So I want to extract the ith element from that vector X. So simply variable object name, that is my X, square bracket. So what is my square bracket? My square bracket is for extracting operator. So if I write square I, means it extract ith element of that vector X. Okay. Next is data frame. So here I have two ways to extract the data from the data frame. So suppose you define the column names, you have a column names of that data frame. So you can extract by a column name or by column number. Okay. So the data frame, D frame is my name. That's the label of data frame. So D frame $X. So that extracts my column that have name X. Okay. Other way is simply like matrix and rows. So data frame, comma, I. So means what is comma is for my row. It's simply row, column. Okay. So if I use comma and then I, means it gives you a extract the ith column. Okay. Similarly, matrix, you can say ith row, jth column. So it's square bracket I comma j. So if you write matrix label MAT, here I use name mat, but it can be anything which you define in your program. So mat square bracket I comma j, it will give you the ijth cell of the matrix. Okay. Otherwise, if you write comma j, mat comma j, it will give you a jth column. If you write I comma means you are not extracting the column, you are extracting the row. So it will give you a ith row of that matrix. Next is list. Okay, so we have defined, if you give the label, the labels of the elements are there. you can extract by the dollar sign. So the last point is list $x. So list is my simple usual list of object. So it extract the xth element of that list. Okay. Suppose I didn't give a label to that entries of the list. So it by default it takes the numbers. But the difference of the data frame and this list is simply it will now use double square bracket. So for extracting, you need to use double square bracket list I, double square bracket I. So it will extract the ith element of the list object. So that is what it is, how to extract the data in R. So here I have shown the examples, but we will also discuss in practical program. Okay. Next is utilities of data frame and matrices. So certain codes are designed for specifically to utilize properly your data frames and matrices, like head tail. So head tail is what? It gives you suppose your data frame is very long, having very means thousands of columns. If you enter in R, so it will not be printed in a single screen. So suppose I would like to see just few first columns or last first rows and last rows. So you can use head and tail. Head returns you 5 or 6 first rows of the data frame, and tail just return you last 5 or 6 rows of that this. Then this is row names, column names. So this returns you row names and column names. Then other functions are lapply and sapplies. So I think these functions will be discussed in detail. These are the actually we will discuss with the function. There's certain kinds of functions with very user friendly functions. And so suppose you have an X, your vector, and you can apply the functions. Very shortcut of this. So it will be discussed in the lectures, will be delivered by Dr. Arun Kaushik. He will discuss in detail. Okay. Then this is matrix, simple A plus B, matrix multiplication, percentage, star, percentage for matrix multiplication, A minus B, T, small t, A, that gives you a transpose of the matrix. Solve gives you a matrix inverse. And similarly, row sum, row means, column means can be directly computed for the data frame as well as for the matrices. So these are the some utilities for the data frame and matrices. Okay, here we have an examples. So we will discuss directly in the R session. Okay. Next is import exports in data sets. So there are wonderful capability in R. So you can there are various situations where data is stored. We usually store data in Excel sheets and maybe other spreadsheet because it is easy to enter the data. So you can import the data into our environment and then can do your analysis and can save results into the Excel sheets and as per your requirement in the table form. You can so that you can take these tables to in your directly to import in later in maybe in Word format or maybe in LaTeX format. So these are very useful codes. So the basic one which are tailored in basic R packages. So you know that certain 15, 16 basic packages come with the R simple downloads. Otherwise, special package you have to download separately. So this code is one is simply read.table and write.table. So read.table is for import and write.table for export to save the data in a tabular form or maybe Excel sheet. So read.table and write.table is for kind of CSV file. So you have a various formats of Excel sheets. Once you can save the file in CSV format. Once you save your Excel sheet, you can see the various options below which format you want to save your Excel sheet. So if you choose CSV format, so you can use this read.table, write.table for CSV files. So general syntax are given here. Write.table. X is means your data frame because you are going to write. Are you going to save a table or Excel sheet in your system with an output X? Okay, X is your data frame. X. Then next argument is file. So file is my simple name. What do you want to give the name in the save file? Append equals to true means you suppose you save a file and you want to save the same thing in the same file. Okay, or a different thing in the same file. So you want to append the same number of columns in the saved Excel sheet. So you need to use append equal to true or false. If you do append true, so the existing means the data, the table will be saved in the existing Excel file. If you do append equals to false, the file with the same name will be deleted and new file will be saved. Then it is separated SEP by space comma. So it is one of the format. Then row names. What do you need? Row names or column names to be saved? So you can either change true or false. Okay. So say suppose if I write write.table cars is built-in data in R. So this it has two columns, speed and distance of the cars. And if I write far file equal to cars.csv. So I want to save the cars data into Excel sheet CSV format with the name car data separated by comma. So there are three types of formats. This is comma separated, pipe separated, tab separated. Okay. So here you use separated comma, row names, column names. So again, similarly the read.table. So this files. Okay. So the file should be in your directory too. If your file is not directory, it will give you error. So first you place your Excel sheet CSV file in your directory, then it will be not, otherwise you need to give the link to that. Path should be given. So if your file, you don't worry about the path, you just, if your CSV file is in your directory, it will directly import from there. So read.table file, that is your name of the file, header equals to false or true. So header is basically designed to give the column names, because you are going to import Excel sheet, so it must have, if the column names are there, so first row will be treated as a column names. Okay, if it is true. If you give false, it will by default create the column names for you. So columns names will be V1, V2, V3 and so on. Okay, again then row names, column names you can define like this. So if I saved cars data in CSV file, so again header equals to true because column names are there. It is separated by comma. Row names as dot character. I can define the row names as per my choice. So I give 48 to 1. So there are total 48 entries. So I want to change is reverse, or you can give name of your choice. Okay. Suppose you want to give the row names as a car brand. Car brand you want to define from your side. So it will be visible in some kind of plots. The plots will be discussed with MS Pawar sir. So you can deal with the kind of table. So it is, sometimes it is important to have for visualization, the row names are important in data. And others are direct codes are read.csv and other alternative codes are read.csv and write.csv. You might be having a SAS file, SPSS file, Stata and other things. So a package, I am highlighting just package. Heaven package is there where you can have codes for import and export from SAS, SPSS and Stata files. So usually we have Excel sheets, not in CSV format, and with an extension of XLS and XLSX. So I have a package for it. Data XL. Okay, the package is read Excel. That is my package, and code is read Excel. Okay, and the Excel file we will discuss in our session. So just here the package is there. Okay, other one is simple editor. So there are two codes are there for doing this: fix and edit. So once you so fix an object, vector, function, data frame. Suppose you want to make a correction manually, okay, in the data. Suppose you want to change some entries of your vector, object, and maybe in a function in the middle of the program. Okay, so you can use these codes, edit and fix. So what it does actually, if your data is matrix or data frame, your editor will open. Okay, like this. In a figure, you can see data editor. It has a simple spreadsheet will open, and you can change the variable name, its type, and their entries. You can change it. Once you close this editor, then new entries will be saved in your object. Similarly, fix can be this is an alternative way to doing this. If you suppose you have a vector, so other example I have sent. So cars $speed. So I have just taken a vector. Means the car was a data frame. It has two entries. I just extract speed and I use fix. Fix speed. So it will just open our editor. So if it is an object, it is in a vector, function, and other kind of object, our editor will open. If it is a matrix and data frame, your spreadsheet will open, and you can change accordingly. So once you close these windows, your data will be saved to the given object. We will discuss in practical session. Okay, next is user-defined functions. So as we have already discussed, this is also provides you a programming environment. So there are two ways to work in R. Either you can use simple built-in codes, which are there, means there are a number of codes, thousands of packages are there. Otherwise, for your specific purpose, you want to code it. Okay, so it will give you, provides you a programming environment too. So it's a true programming language. Okay, so how to define a function? This general syntax is, first is function name equals to, that is assignment operator. Built-in code is function, then bracket, and curly braces, statements, and return statements. Okay, arguments are again separated by comma, and it may be a vector. And the braces includes the main body of this function. Okay, and this return is optional. So I have already shown you the rule of using this curly braces. If you do not use the return code within this function command, the last statement, whatever be the last statement, will be returned as an output of this function. Okay, suppose my function is very big. I have to do many things within the function, but I need some particular, suppose I calculated mean and variance and other things, but I want a simple skewness, kurtosis of the data, which uses mean, variance, and moments, and so on. But I need only one output from this function. So you need return and that variable object. So the object value will be written as an output. Okay. If you have a single statement, there's no worry. Don't worry. You can ignore using this return command, because this is only single statement. It can be written as an output. Okay, so this is how to define the function, and to call it in R is simply function name and then arguments, brackets and arguments. Okay, but here what is the argument? So it's very important to remember about the arguments. So the order in which the arguments are written while defining the function is important, because the arguments are local. The arguments are local. They are dummy. They don't have a meaning outside of that. Okay, so means it just recognize the order of the variables. Means the arguments are separated by commas. So it is important. If you see, suppose x, y, z, and you enter in an input, you give 2, 3, 4. It understands x is 2, y is 3, and z is by 4. If I write 10, 1, 2, so it understands my x is 10. So means the order in which they are written in defining the function, they are important. Otherwise, it is a local dummy variables. Outside, they do not have any meanings. Okay, so again, let us now define a simple take function, exponential distribution, f, x, theta, mu. So it has 3 variables. So in order to compute this density function, you need 3 values, x, mu, and theta. Okay, so my function has 3 arguments, x, theta, mu. Okay, So there are various ways to define this function. So I will discuss 3 ways to define, because it depends on how you define your list of arguments. All arguments separated by comma. If you have a long list of arguments, so again, once your line becomes very lengthy, so comma, 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 and so on. Otherwise, you can use as a vector. So your argument may be a vector value. Okay. So first we will define f equal to function x comma theta comma mu. So 3 arguments separated by comma, and theta into theta is my th. Now product. What is my arithmetic operator? Star. Star for product. Exponential exp bracket minus again theta star bracket x minus mu. So that is how you can define arithmetic expression or R expression in R by using an arithmetic operators. Now you can note it here that I did not use curly braces here because I have a single statement to execute. So there is no need of using these braces. If you have a multiple statements within the function, so make a habit of using this curly braces and separated by semicolon. All statement can be separated by semicolon, and return may be used to return the particular value. Okay, so I've defined the density. So I give 3, 1.5 and 2. So in the function, I give 3, 1.5 and 2 output in this example. So it understand x is 3, theta is 1.5 and mu is 2. Because order is important. It just match the order of the argument, whatever you give. Okay, otherwise, in other way, suppose I separated parameters different, theta and mu, and x is different. So my x is singleton, single value, single observation, and theta I have a vector, it includes 2 values. So now I use, so theta 1. So what is this? Theta is my vector. Theta square bracket 1 means it's first element of this th. Star exp minus theta 1 is again understand the place. So I understand this first one is my theta, second one is my mu. So theta 1 star x minus theta 2 square bracket 2 means whatever be the second element of theta, the place is this much, x minus mu. Okay. So output will be in the same manner. My x is 3. Now what happens? This theta is a vector consisting 2 values. So it should be entered as a vector. So I use C to enter these values. C 1.5, comma 2. C element separated by comma. So 3 is single, but theta is a vector having 2 values, 1.5 and 2. So what happens? It understands my theta square bracket 1 is 1.5, my theta 2 is 2. And it calculates the value, and both the values are same. Third one. What is third one? All arguments are supplied as a single vector. So again, suppose I define par. I just simple take par. You can take any number and any values, parameter x, y, z, whatever you want to take. And then inside I define par 1 is x, par 2 is theta, par 3 is mu. I just replaced par because I don't want to use par every time, par 1, par 2, par 3. I want to use, as per my understanding, x, theta and mu. I understand what is the role of theta, what is the role of x, where the theta is to be written, where x to be written. I may be confused with the par 1, par 2, par 3 and so on. So I just replace par again inside the code, x, theta and mu. Now I use d equals to theta into xp e power minus theta x. I defined it. Now there are number of statements within the body. So I use curly braces. And what I need a value, a d value to be returned as an output. So I return d. So it returns the d value. Okay. So again, I define x equal to 3, theta equal to 1.5, mu equals to 2. Now it should be entered as a single vector f c x theta mu. F c x theta mu. Okay. So answer is again same. Okay. So I have defined exponential density in 3 different ways. Every time you get the answer is same, but the difference is how to define your list of arguments, and similarly you can give the output to that, okay, or input to that. And you can also find built-in code for defining the exponential density. Code is DXV. It will be discussed by our sir. Okay. So I just want to tell you that the output of the built-in function and user-defined function are same. So DEXP is a code for defining the density function of the mu exponential distribution. The output is same. So there are two ways. Either you can define your own function, either you can work in built-in functions. So advantage of that, suppose especially you are dealing with a new problem, so it will take time to come with the in softwares and packages. Sometimes it may take years to come in your system in a package form. So you need to have your codes, capability of building a codes. Okay.